What Donald Sterling did was wrong. What he said was wrong. But we're approaching a fine line here. This is about the Privacy Act, Donald Sterling. What he said was wrong, and he is a slumlord, and he is. But we start listening. We start recording people's conversation in their houses. We're crossing a very fine line here now between people's privacy in their homes and public. I believe that we are crossing a very fine line here. And they tabloided this stuff to death. Now, should he own the Clippers anymore? No. Did he make this? Did he say the words? Yes. But should she have been allowed to record anything in his house? No. Privacy Act is a very private thing. People want their lives to be private. When people close the door to their home, they want their lives to be private. They want to be able to say what they want to say. And sometimes people vent in anger, and they really don't mean it. Sometimes people vent in anger. Things they say that they really don't mean, that they later feel sorry for. And they later are sorry that they said. I've done it myself. But the Privacy Act is a great part of human life. People like their privacy in their homes. Now, should people be allowed to go into people's homes and record? Now, we're crossing a very fine line here between what's legal, what's not legal, what's right, and what's not right. What he said was wrong, but how it was acquired was wrong also. What Donald Sterling said was wrong, but how it was acquired was wrong also. The Privacy Act is a very important thing in this country that we do. We're balancing a fine line here, like a tightrope, between invading people's privacy and invading people's homes. Nobody should be allowed to record anything in anybody's house. Now, I'm not condoning what Donald Sterling said. I'm not condoning it. What I am saying is the Privacy Act is you wouldn't want somebody to come into your home and record your conversation. You might say something you really don't mean and then get crucified for it. Like he's being crucified now. But apparently he has quite a future of lawsuits and stuff against him. But still, you're crossing a very fine line between tabloid news and the Privacy Act. That's the truth of human life. That's the fact of human life. Is we're walking a very fine line here between the Privacy Act and we want the government not to listen to our phone calls. It means people should not be allowed to record anybody's conversation in their house. Now, we're crossing a very fine line here. We're on a very fine line here, a very thin rope. And the Privacy Act wasn't acted so people could have privacy in their phone calls. And the government crossed that line. Now people are crossing that line. Where's it going to end? Are we going to be able to go to the bathroom without somebody trying to record us taking a dump, saying something that we don't mean? People say things they don't mean all the time. People say things in anger they don't mean all the time. I've done it, you've done it, we've all done it. But what he said was egregious. But what I'm trying to say is we have to look out for the privacy of our homes, for the privacy of our families, to make sure that they're according to the privacy of life, to be able to deal with that kind of life. That's the truth of human life. That's the fact of human life. So we're crossing a very fine line here between invasion of privacy and privacy. When you cross that line, it becomes tabloid news. It's a very fine line. What he did was wrong, and what they banned him from the NBA was right. Apparently, this guy has a history of it. But still, the Privacy Act is a very, very precious thing. I know I wouldn't want somebody coming to my home and recording what I say, because sometimes I say things I don't mean. I say things in anger, mostly at myself, because I dump coffee over and I do stuff like that. But with the Privacy Act, you gotta keep that fine line intact. It's like otherwise they'll be invading your computer sites. People invade. That's the invasion of privacy. That's the invasion of the Privacy Act. This is a 7 billion human being show. It's a very fine line we're dealing with here. It's not just the racist part that's bad. But she recorded his call, his conversation in the house. What she did was wrong also. How they got the information was wrong. Was the information right? Yeah. Was it nasty? Yeah. Was it egregious? Yeah. Was it appalling? Of course. But there's a very fine line here between the Privacy Act and Donald Sterling and people like Donald Sterling. So we can't invade everybody's house who believes in racism. Otherwise, there'd be a lot of them. We have to protect the right to privacy. We have to protect the right to privacy also while fighting against racism. And that's what I'm trying to say. That we have to protect everybody's privacy while fighting racism. And racism has come a long way in this country towards ending. And hopefully we will end it. And hopefully we will stop it. This is Big Show. Thank you for watching.